Hello everybody, welcome back to the show. Hope you're doing well. Always takes me a minute to get up to smashing speed. You can call in. It's 7:09 in Canada. We're in Canada. You call in from Canada, United States. At 709-589-4406. 709-589-4406. Hope you're having a great day. The Geiger counter is live. You'll be able to get them in vending machines in the near future a bit. And it always takes me a couple of seconds, a minute basically, to get up to speed. The bashing speed. And here we go. The new Prime Minister inspects the crippled TEPCO N-word plant. They shouldn't call themselves that. You can see other previous prime ministers. The guy in the middle is the current idiot-in-chief. You got Suga to the left. You got Shinzo Abe to the right. Shinzo is not with us anymore. He took one for the nuclear team. He's down in hell looking up at us as we speak, I'm sure. Probably got a cushy job down there. He's definitely going to be responsible for killing 1 billion people with poison food. Shinzo Abe, to your left, to your far right behind me. Ishiba is the new prime minister. South Korea's got a new prime minister. You got drones over New Jersey and other places. And I've been out listening to the narratives, and a lot of people are in the comment section and in the media in particular are suggesting that it's just the government testing drones. But the government actually has a lot of secretive geofenced areas to test their drones. They're not going to be going into the local neighborhoods. So who knows what's really going on. A lot of conspiracy theorists. Some people are suggesting they're looking for nuclear weapons that have been smuggled into the country. Most likely it's already here. It was planted here before the dinosaurs, Dana. And boom, everybody's gone. So Korea's got a new prime minister, president, / Why Yoon is waiting to be seen if he's going to be kicked out for calling for martial law a few weeks ago. He was losing control, so martial law. Same as Justin Trudeau in Canada done back in 2021 during the COVID scamdemic. I'm sorry, pandemic. Did I say that? Pretty crazy. You're not allowed to have a debate about 911 or the COVID, a few other things. It's absurd, isn't it? Like, these literally idiots that think that way. We were going to do a show last night, but I had a rough day yesterday trying to put a vent in the roof. And kind of took the good out of me. It was cold weather. I laid down 8 o'clock to take a nap last night. I usually do my shows at 10. I woke up 12:30 today. A little bit of a nap. Burnt out, eh? But we got the vent in. I'm here tonight. Let's get after it. The latest, Japan goes through a prime minister every single year. Right? The prime minister is so evil, they can only stay in power for about a year in Japan. He visited Fukushima. He did so. Dana, he visited. He was there. They all visit it, and they don't go anywhere. They stay at the top of these weird spot. And so Shinzo Abe, they didn't have a real fence there. They put a plastic fence there. I don't believe they're actually there, personally. I think it's green screened. And I'll show you why. I have my good reasons. I'll give you a quick explanations of that before we jump into the horrific news. La la la. So here's media pretending they're on top of the building to your left, 150 feet above the stump. A nuclear meltdown, no less. And right alongside of another nuclear meltdown in a nuclear wasteland. So is it a far cry to suggest, because we know they're faking it, they're not even in Japan, they got 71 reactors exactly identical to that one. So does any stretch of imagination to suggest that these people who don't look like a Shinzo Abe, doesn't look like got a worry in the world, neither one of them, right? We got a whole crackling folder on these prime ministers visited Fukushima to inspect. They're not inspecting jack shit. And Nippon never puts the word nuclear plant. They always put N plant. N plant. To inspect the facilities, including the Tokyo Electric Power Company's holding a corporation disaster Crippled. Such dishonest people to use the word crippled, isn't it? Such disrespectful and deceitful and disingenuous to use any kind of connotation besides gone, destroyed, non-existent. I mean, look at these buildings. We're 190 foot, 19 stories, 65 meter buildings. There's nothing left. Yeah. Disaster cripple. I really hate the people. And that's the only word I can come up with for using those words. The visit is apparently intended to demonstrate his administration's focus on revitalizing the nuclear wasteland. So, like, going there and getting your picture taken, even if it's true, even if it's not green screen, is a demonstration of nothing. In less than a year, he will be gone. There'll be another prime minister there. Just like that one over Suga, and just like Shinzo Abe. Well, Shinzo Abe lasted a bit longer. I think he's the longest lasting prime minister. He was the guy responsible for shipping food worldwide from the nuclear wasteland. And to help articulate that facet, I guess sea cleaner gonna play with me already. Should Japan's Prime Minister Ishiba stop growing food in a nuclear wasteland to preserve human life worldwide? And I mean, each of the, there's 14 nuclear wastelands where the food was banned for 55 years by 14 years by 55 countries. Each one of them are growing about 1 billion pounds of food in the nuclear wastelands. Like, this is absurdness. And because the world is not it's not speaking up, then they get more eviler every couple of days. And this has been going on for 13 years, so they're extremely evil now. The visit is apparently intended to demonstrate his administration's focus on revitalizing a nuclear wasteland. Why don't he start by moving him and his children and his friends and his families there and live where all the homeless are living, that work at the disease factory, including Fukushima, which hit hard by the earthquake and tsunami. What about the nuclear meltdown, you dishonest? It's the first time for Ishiba to... Why did he wait so long? Really, why did he wait so long if it's the meltdown hit? See, they don't want to use the word nuclear meltdown, right? Nuclear meltdowns with an S, plural. Ishiba is slated to receive an explanation from TEPCO officials. Really? You waited all this time? For the, now, there's pictures of him by the one-ton bags in Futaba. In the town of Futaba, Ishiba visit so-called difficult to return, a so-called. Yeah, the other people, most people call it a nuclear wasteland, not a difficult to return zone. It's a nuclear wasteland. There is no returning. The natives who lost their properties to Hanford in Washington don't call it a difficult return zone. They call it a lost, stolen zone, right? That is, even if it was given back to them, they don't want nothing to do with it. Because, it's a nuclear wasteland. Set up after the nuclear accident, inspected sites including a makeshift storage facility for soil. It's not soil, it's nuclear waste from radiation decontamination work. It's not decontamination because you're only scraping the top 2 centimeters, not even an inch of topsoil, and putting it in 1-ton bags. The Fukushima mayor, who doesn't live in Fukushima, by the way, explained to the Prime Minister the town's post-disaster reconstruction efforts. Post-disaster? For at least 1 million years, it's a nuclear meltdown right alongside of it. They're still ongoing. And urged the government to promote work to lift the evacuation order for the whole of the difficult-to-return/nuclear wasteland. And then he shows this picture. Thank you, come again. Thank you, come again. That's not hi everybody, welcome everybody. Hope you're doing well. So there's actually 30 million 1-ton bags. There's 150,000 sites like that right there behind them. That's how much we're talking about. 150,000. So imagine you had to go take a picture of just each one of them. How long is it going to take you to drive to each site and take 150,000 pictures? You got to drive there. You got to get out of your car. You got to check the lighting. Lots of times you can't find a bathroom. And how much radiation are you going to suck in when you're doing it, I wonder? Like, to call these people anything less than a human is being dishonest. They're less than a human is, being polite. Struggling. Should everybody eat the nuclear food from the nuclear wastelands so the nuclear industry can pretend that they're good people? Get sick? Should everybody get sick and die so that we can help the farmers and the nuclear industry? The farmers should be all arrested, shouldn't they, for growing food in a nuclear wasteland? How is that not a crime? Just bear with me. We're struggling again. Here we go. We're back in shape. So you had 4 nuclear meltdowns. And at the top of each building was 2 fuel pools full of decades of reactor cores. So you're talking about 36 reactor cores, roughly. Chernobyl was a new reactor. Japan, breaking news, really. We get it every year. The next prime minister visits Fukushima. Whoopee. That'll be the last time he goes there on top of that. If he actually went there, we got no proof. Japan's prime minister, if he was there, why not give us a very high quality picture? If he was at the nuclear meltdown, inspecting the nuclear meltdowns, why not? Why is it every single prime minister has never shown us a picture inspecting it, is always from the same place? Right? Every prime minister, that's 3 of them right there that visit Fukushima. None of them are inspecting it. They're all stood up like they got a big stick up their butt or something. They're not inspecting nothing, see? He don't even know which way to look. He's supposed to be looking the other way, not this way. What are you going to do with the nut jobs, I wonder anyway? Japan's current moron Prime Minister Ishiba visits Fukushima to inspect a nuclear power plant, but ultimately we don't see him inspecting anything. We see like a zombie, right? He looks like a zombie, don't he? He's not even looking towards the nuclear plant site. And like when you take pictures, because normally the background would be blurred, right? Or it would be exact same clarity as this one right here. So this is what leads me to believe that this is a green screen, because the back of it should be close to the same quality as the front, or it should be blurred right out. And I know because I took 250,000 pictures on research expeditions, which, by the way, made me the worst criminal in humanity. According to the nuclear industry, they lost their minds because I was out taking pictures of the coastline. Hey, make them stop. Mystery drones over New Jersey and nearby states. The drones have shut down Ohio Air Force Base for hours. So if the military was doing it, they wouldn't shut down their own base, would they? Are you with me or what? Mystery drones. Well, normally when the mystery drones, they send up a bunch of F-16 fighter jets or something like that and they shoot them down, right? They like shooting shit. Let's face it, that's the only thing they're actually good at. They're no good for anything else. Good for destroying the future of humanity, and that's about it. For weeks, citizens across New Jersey and many other states reported seeing clusters of drone-like objects. Apparently they're 7 or 8 feet. They're silent. They don't put off a heat signature. And nobody knows what they are. The military closed down their base, so they say it ain't them. If it was them, they wouldn't have closed down their base, right? Low in the sky. Like they're using 1 million a month over in Ukraine. 1 million drones a month. Eric Schmidt, who's the former CEO of Google, that's what his company does. He makes each one for $400, and you strap a bomb onto it, and it runs into somebody and blows them up. And most of the victims they're blowing up were conscripted, were jacked off the streets. No training, not military inclined, never joined the military, are forced into going out on the front line with no training, and their job is to get blown up with one of Eric Schmidt's drones. He charges $400 for each one, and Ukraine goes through 1 million of them every single month. 1 million drones. Imagine how evil you got to be, sit there with a drone and chase some poor conscripted guy around an open field. There's nowhere for him to go. Let him run till he's exhausted and stops, and then you can just run right into him. I know you're not going to have some problems when you get older either. And you're going to what? How do you reintroduce someone like that back into society? State officials now say they've seen the drones firsthand. So state is saying that they don't know what it is. The FBI don't know what it is. The military bases are closing down. They don't know what it is. I seen a video today where the state police, sent their own drones up to chase it, and it just disappeared right in front of them. Like magic. This was a sworn officer reported. Another one was a sworn officer reported around 50 of them coming in off the ocean. Nobody knows what's going on. It's a big mystery. Except there's not really, is it? Somebody knows. They're not speaking. The government is not mandating an investigation. Military bases are closing down because of the drones, so it can't be them. Dad, stop at your conspiracy theories. I kick your ass. And do you really think the drone wars are going to get any more nicer? Drones are looking for what? Lost 1-ton bags. Some comment, man. You gotta like it. That's priceless. He's looking for drones. Ishiba. How long is he going to last? 6 months, a year before next prime minister? Here's Shinzo Abe. He ate a bullet, thank goodness. And look at everybody in their paper suit. You got your little book bags? Okay, kiddies, get in there and die. This can't protect you at a nuclear meltdown. TEPCO said he burned 7,000 of these every day because he had 7,000 employees at a nuclear meltdown. Here's the media. This is so funny. Here's the media. Now they're pretending, because they're crazies, that they're on top of this building 150 feet above it and everything is perfect. It blows my mind that the world's not upset about that. How can you not be upset about media pretending you're on a building that doesn't exist? Do you really think they're doing that for something to do? Do you really? Is it that hard to appreciate the significance of them doing something like this? They're doing it because the radioactive fallout has been recorded in numbers we've never heard of before. 20 million particles of iodine-131 per liter in the U.S. A million atoms per square meter of xenon-133. 220 million atoms per liter of iodine-129. But people will get fixated on this story because the professor lied about the implications. They'll ignore that story. They'll ignore that story. They'll ignore the fact that this is a plume model from the French government, right, the IRSN, and what they're saying in this plume model based on 16 days after the tsunami, when it stops. This is 15 days. So 10 days after the last of the 4 reactors detonated that they acknowledge, for a little while, now they pretend it didn't happen. This was 1 million to 10 million atoms of cesium-137. 1 million to 10 million atoms of cesium-137 per cubic meter of air. You had 1 million atoms of xenon-133 on the ground per square meter. You had 20 million atoms of iodine-131 per liter of rainfall. You had 220 million atoms per liter of iodine-129. With a 15 million year half-life, that never goes away. And Raphael Grossi, as of August 24 last year, says nothing got out, only a couple of grams of tritium. And don't worry, because that's in 1,000 tanks. And while you may see me mockery of this stuff, what they're doing is a representation of the danger that we're in right now. The fact that CBS, BBC, CNN, ABC Australia's, and many, many other medias pretend that they were in a building that don't exist is because this is the radioactive fallout from this is an extinction event. We know because we've done 6 years of research expeditions. Because this actually happened. And the same headline for all of these prime ministers was they were inspecting the crippled Fukushimas. The same headline for each one of them. Blah, blah, blah. Shinzo Abe visits Fukushima to inspect the crippled nuclear power plant. Just this guy right here. Prime Minister Suga visits Fukushima to inspect the crippled TEPCO nuclear power plant, and Ishika visits Fukushima. Like the same, they're all in the same place, and that's the only picture you get. Well, he did this. The useful idiot did manage to put out another picture. It was such low quality, one has to assume this was Photoshop. Why are they looking up? There's nothing up. You're at ground level, right? So why is he looking up in the air? Because it's green screen. You think that picture was probably for the nuclear plant. They just superimposed it. Why is he looking the wrong way? The reactors are over right here. Why is he looking this way? Because he's looking for the drones, Dana. I know. Here's Sugar. At least Sugar was looking in the right direction. That doesn't mean he's at the nuclear plant, but it doesn't make sense that you would, if you know anything, why would you put yourself in that position and go right there? Do you see the 7,000 people that are working there? You can't work on that building because that's a lethal dose getting close to it. You can't work on this building. That's a lethal dose getting close to it. The infrastructure that you see is built off-site and then assembled by cranes, and everything's held together by gravity. And why is this guy always here? In talks with reporters after inspecting. He didn't inspect it. He didn't go anywhere. Same as Same Shinzo Abe, same as Suga. They didn't go anywhere. The meltdown hit. Like, when I call it a nuclear, what, you don't call Chernobyl a meltdown hit? Why be so evasive? Why be so deceitful? Ishiba said his government will set up a forum of relevant ministers for toxin recycling of such soil. They're not relevant. Like, and we talked about this when he first announced it a few weeks ago. These are not relative ministers. Ministers are not academics in nuclear waste. Why would they have a conversation instead of the academics? And why is it that we only hear them instead of the academics? We don't get to scrutinize any of them anyway, let alone the academics, which is, we're talking about nuclear fallout, lethal stuff. Why is a minister who knows nothing, not a fucking thing about nuclear, excuse the French-Canadian in me, the power station was heavily damaged. I don't believe him. I didn't see any damage. You see any damage? Did I look damaged to you? Yeah, just get some jip rock in there. Everything will be just fine, Dana. I totally agree with you. That makes more sense than what they're saying. Meltdowns. Oh, core meltdowns. Oh, you get in trouble for that. Gonna lose your G.I. Joe badge for that one. You can't say. He also visited Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant, which experienced core meltdowns. Ha ha! This wasn't core meltdowns. This was detonations. You know what? The remains you're looking at, these stumps, are 150 feet wide. The building's supposed to be 19 stories tall, 190 feet tall, 65 meters tall. There's nothing left to core meltdowns. Anything but the word nuclear meltdown, right? For the first time since taking office in October. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Ishiba, what's wrong with you, dog? The government plans to dispose of the contaminated soil outside the prefecture. They're dumping it in farmers' fields and growing food in it and shipping it to Canada and the United States and other countries that are impoverished and don't know any better. In Japan, this is the comment section, this is great. In Japan, where reducing costs is prioritized than safety of the citizens, a new safety myth about the radioactivity has been propagandized craftily, and radioactive soil reuse is planned towards nationwide, but long-term risk to the health is ignored as ever. Way to go. Somebody actually articulated something sensible. What's the odds of that? They're probably in jail right now. No, it hasn't been ignored at all, says Isabel. Perhaps you haven't bothered to read the studies that have been done and would rather just push an agenda instead. They got a -3 rating for that statement. Like, you're talking about 30 million one-ton bags. You didn't pick the 30 million one-ton bags up because they're like a banana or a potato chip or walked in the sunshine. Okay? 30 million one-ton bags. There's 5 rows of traffic around the plant of bumper-to-bumper with one-ton trucks. Trump to meet the widow of the former Japan Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Yeah, there's something dirty going on I'm not aware of. Tokyo plans to make a daycare free for all preschool children starting in September. Their birth rate is dive. Their birth rate is literally almost non-existent, which is what you see with all the species now. They're not reproducing, right? Worldwide. And we're seeing an extinction event playing out. It's going to be more pronounced in Tokyo. So, like in the first year in Tokyo, the Japanese Cancer Center said it was 865,000 extra cancers in the first year, excess cancers. Oh, yeah, a little jump in cancer, 865,000 extra cancers in the first year post-Fukushima. I mean, not everybody's got health care. Not everybody was diagnosed. Should Japan Prime Minister Ishiba stop growing food in the nuclear wasteland to preserve human life worldwide? Well, when you look at this study, you would ask yourself that question anyway, hopefully. Nuclear industry runs this planet, entire planet. Because that's the only thing that makes sense. How can they get away with this genocide? You know, pretending you're in a building that don't exist worldwide from medias, and universities went along with it. Many developed countries, in order for that law to work, so difficult. You got to realize they're growing food in the nuclear wasteland, where you picked up 30 million one-ton bags. Half of the place was farmland, so they can continue to trick the farmers into going back. Yeah. Japan is facing a crisis of a declining number of children, which isn't going away. No, it's getting worse every couple of months. So now they're going to get free daycare in the land of child molesters. Earlier this month, that she wants to introduce a 4-day work week option for the government staff in Tokyo. So the government gets a 4-day work week. To encourage, because government's children is the only thing that matters. Get it? A 4-day work week option for government staff. She's a governor in Tokyo since 2016, which is a serious nuclear wasteland. Won a third term in July and vows to boost social welfare benefits. There's the moron. Oh, this is Shinzo Abe's wife. This is in the wrong spot. We had that happen to us on the last show, didn't we? Had some. Who knows with me? I got so many stories open all day long on my computer on nuclear that I'll be reading one story and I'll get distracted with another story. Right? Because I'm reading one story and then I might do something, get a cup of tea. When I come back down, I might just check the stories again and I'll start reading. I read more than probably anybody I know anyway. Shinzo Abe delivers, that's his wife, Aiki, the opening speech is a symposium at the G20, which shouldn't exist. G20 shouldn't exist. It's 20 countries meeting in secrecy, making decisions without the consent or any referendums of the countries they're coming from. They should have absolutely, unequivocally, no ability to do something like that. In fact, the majority of the constitutions, the Magna Cartas, the Bill of Rights, is illegal as you go down these constitutional regulatory. Trump has called her regularly to check in on her since her husband's assassination. It's interesting. We're going to put those connotations together. CNN anchor. Quoting a CNN anchor, which is just a mouthpiece for the military-industrial complex. That's who owns CNN, right? Wrote on X, and that's who's paying them all the money to CNN all the time. They're using all their analysts for everything. Like they got no credibility. And on top of that, an anchor, that is, like a so-called news presenter, has no credibility. They got nothing to do with the human attributes whatsoever. Trump to discuss ending childhood vaccination program at RFK Jr. The industry must be losing their minds now. The autism rate is at a level that nobody's ever believed possible if you look at things that are happening. Yeah, well, this is the Fukushima effect is why autism has skyrocketed. And you'll see, if you go look at it, pre-Fukushima and post-Fukushima, it's clear Fukushima is the catalyst. Same for everywhere worldwide. And same thing with Down syndrome. And Alzheimer's, dementia, and diabetes. And heart problems, liver problems, lung problems, respiratory, pituitary, thyroid, adrenaline. How come I got so many people watching my stream? Like 13 people. I'm not used to having that many people, and it makes me nervous. I've only been at this a decade. I don't think I deserve to have that many people. Should Japan's Prime Minister, Ishiba, stop growing food in a nuclear wasteland to preserve human life worldwide? They got no one to beat up, right? They got really... James Lewis is making himself a big target. Maybe that'll draw some heat away from him. I should say stuff like that, I suppose. Just a little bit of fun. It's going to happen to him eventually, but right now he's picking up subscribers every single day, so he hasn't pissed him off enough yet. That's coming, dog, because he's getting better and better every day with his music. His anti-nuclear music at some point is going to wreck the industry. I don't think it's going to be very controversial in the end. Drones latest. Mysterious flying objects reported in New Jersey and nearby states as federal officials investigate. These drones have been spotted in California, Connecticut, Florida, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Texas, Virginia. So it's not just New Jersey. One airport was shut down late last week due to reported drone activities. Military base was shut down due to drones activities, so it can't be the military, can it? Who's acting president Han Duck-soo? He spent 40 years as a civil servant. He earned a PhD in economics from Harvard University, United States. MK Ultra or what? His education from American Institute, and he's in charge. Well, I've heard it argued by South Koreans that United States runs South Korea, right? For UN. UN owns South Korea, basically, right? UN went in and destroyed North Korea, called it a police action. Millions dead, millions missing, millions in refugee camps, millions unaccounted for. And then they isolated that country now for 74 years, land, sea, and air embargoes, and used the media worldwide, Hollywood, and everything else to demonize them. North Korea hasn't attacked anybody in 74 years. Right? But the 10 biggest military-industrial complexes are attacking everybody because that's how they make money. They use up their weapons, right? International Atomic Energy Agency confirms Fukushima treated water. Treated water. That's an interesting one. Discharge meets the international safety standards. They got 1,000 tanks, right? You know, the majority of them are those little tanks, see? And during its 4-day visit, the International Atomic Energy 4-day visit, the task force evaluated the technical processes surrounding the ALPS, which, of course, if you go into my playlist, you'll find endless presentations on the ALPS system. It doesn't exist. You can't filter radioactive water in multiple sieverts per liter. You can't change the filter, see? And then they used this technique where they said they got 11 experts from 11 different countries: Argentina, China, United States, the Marshall Islands, Canada. But there's lots of scumbags in every country. Just because they come from countries don't mean they're good people. The fact that they're nuclear experts means there can't be good people. There is no such thing as a good nuclear expert. Since the discharge began, not pro-nuclear anyway, since the discharge began on August the 24th, 2023. Since the discharge began, wait, now let's look at the buildings. So this happened on day 4 and 5, basically. So do you think it never lost anything out of these buildings until August the 24th, 2023 last year? Uh, 16 months ago? You really think it never lost anything out of those buildings for 16 months? There was an invisible dome, Dana. Don't you know anything? How was I supposed to know that? Makes perfect sense now. An invisible dome. I gotta see if I can fix that Geiger counter. It looks weird, don't it? I didn't set it up proper. I can tilt that. See, the best thing to do is just squeeze it, the video feed, right, square it off like that, and just say the hell with it. Now I can get up, straighten it. Well, I don't want to make people cockeyed when they're looking at the Geiger counter. That's a bit better maybe, eh? 150 counts per minute. Pre-Fukushima is around 2025. This was the task force's third visit to Japan. In its comprehensive report, it said nothing got out of these buildings. Well, thank goodness. Whom are you going to believe? Your eyes or the International Atomic Energy Agency? We got to come back to a... At least before... hang on, see if something went screwy, kapooey. Oh, I just didn't take the proper picture, Dana. I believe, who knows? So the buildings exploded, but nothing got out. That's pretty interesting, isn't it? That's crazy, right? The buildings exploded, but nothing got out. Wow. Till last year, of course. For 12 years, nothing got out of these buildings. Yeah, the media says they're on top of the buildings. So, are you going to believe them, or are you going to believe me? You don't have to make a decision right now. You can wait 13 more years if you like. La 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 la. If you look at the building to your left, at the top of the buildings were the fuel pools with decades of reactor cores. Can you spot them to your left? The fuel pools? Oh, that's right, they're gone, Dana. I mean, the building was originally 4 times taller than this, basically. So when you look at, this was NOAA's model of the tsunami. This was NOAA's model, the same American organization, of the radioactive dispersal in the Pacific Ocean. This model was put out on a pedestal and telling everybody it was the radioactive fallout. And this one didn't show up for years and years. But at the same time, this model was out there of the Neptunium-239 dispersal. And this was the Plutonium-239 dispersal. And you had 1 million of this, 20 million of that, 220 million of them. Like, this is not a game, right? Since the discharge began on August 24th, so they're saying that never happened, that never happened, that never happened. The only thing that happened was they started releasing stuff. Nothing got out on its own. Nothing got out of that building. Nothing got out of that building. And why are they faking it? Because it's a catastrophic event for every species on the planet. This is TEPCO's numbers of just 20 days. That's 20-day radioactive fallout. See, that's the 20-day radioactive fallout. How come the media doesn't have that debate? How come the media doesn't say nothing got out when we got all these studies showing massive amount getting out? Right? And what happened was the This was a Canadian study, this one in particular. And let me see if I can find the work of art. Chris Sartoga or something? Hang on here. We might get lucky. We might not. Yeah, so this is the guy who done this study. Now he said this was equal to 10 counts per minute. But it doesn't work that way. A particle is worse than the atom, right? The particle is much more energetic than the atom, and cesium-137 is extremely energetic. This guy, at the end of the lecture, this presentation from Simon Fraser University, said, as his disclosure says, he gets $6 million a year from the nuclear industry to make isotopes to stick into people. So there's no conflict of interest.
And living next to a nuclear power station can actually contribute less than your loved one when it comes to... with myself as one of the principal investigators, was awarded $6 million.
So that was at the end of this. Let me go back to that. I screwed up. Like, this is not a game. This is real life. We're in real trouble. And you can't keep up with the lies. And we're on top of it. So he put out this study that said it was equal to 10 atoms. It was equal to 10 counts a minute. But at the end of, like, that was the cover story, right? But when you went and listened to him, he said sleeping next to someone for 8 hours or living next to a nuclear plant is less radiation than sleeping next to somebody. And what they done was they conflated anthropogenic man-made radiation with natural stuff. Right? And so natural stuff, everybody's acclimated to it through genetic superior selection. Man-made, nobody has an autoimmune trigger to defend against it. So your body attacks it for the rest of your life until it builds a sarcophagus around it, / tumor. So let me play that one more time. How did everybody
and living next to a nuclear power station can actually contribute less than your loved one when it comes to... with myself as one of the principal investigators, was awarded $6 million.
So how did everybody know what he said was funny? Because everybody laughed. And his presentation doesn't change.
Less than your loved one when it comes to...
He's actually smiling there. So he's equating Fukushima with cosmic radiation, with ground radiation, with natural radiation in the human body, sleeping next to somebody, coal power plants, standing in front of granite, flying on airplanes and smoking cigarettes. These are not anthropogenic man-made radiation, and man-made doesn't have those attributes are horrifying. Natural stuff doesn't have any problems at all because your body is stardust, right? And then people will recite that, even though I tell them and I explain to them the same story. And we'll come into my comment sections, and then they'll start putting, no, Dana, that's equal to 10 counts per minute. Now you're showing them radioactive fallout of plutonium-239 blasting the whole country. You're showing them at the same time studies of plutonium-239 blasting the whole country. You're showing them Xenon-133 blasting the whole country. You're showing them 220 million atoms blasting the whole country. But when you show them this one, then that's the only one that matters, and they'll stick on that one. They say that's only 10 counts per minute, and those are the people that'll get banned on my site. Especially when I tell them, don't be doing that on my site because that's a lie. Don't tell lies on my site. And then the people that told that particular lie, who covered up that particular study, because that's not 20, that's 20 million pulses a minute, not 10 pulses a minute. Since the discharge began on August 24th, 2023. See, like, the discharges didn't begin. They began on day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, and never stopped after. And this is the so-called authority, the experts. By the way, Japan is the third biggest donor to the International Atomic Energy Agency. In its non-comprehensive report released before the discharges, suggesting that Fukushima never happened, like, they're not pretending that they're on top of that building for something to do. The effects are catastrophic, okay? The plumes covers the entire planet, and there's nothing on the planet that has an autoimmune trigger to defend against it. In other words, you get sick and die, or you stop producing children, and then you get sick and die. Gustavo Caruso, the chair of the task force, emphasized the importance of continued vigilance. Continued vigilance. So the International Atomic Energy Agency couldn't do what they're doing without the support of the media pretending that the building wasn't gone, right? The International Atomic Energy Agency couldn't pretend this without the support of the universities not to come out and say, hey, he's lying, right? And then you got people like Krister from Simon Fraser University, Vancouver, British Columbia, right, telling absurd lies, misrepresentations. And my site is not for lies, and if anybody wants to come here and lie, they're going to get met with resistance right away. I'm not going to tolerate it for more than 2 minutes. They're going to get blocked, and I'm going to move on, because I've seen at least 25,000 of them over the years. And, the Taiwan had 2,000 university students post-Fukushima, just after Fukushima, 2,000 nuclear students. And alumni, ex-nuclear students, and during university, school days, spamming the internet saying Fukushima was like a banana and a potato chip and walking in the sunshine and getting on an airplane and sleeping next to somebody. International Atomic Energy Agency has stationed experts at the Fukushima site since last year. Well, why weren't they there in the previous 12 years? Why didn't you station them there when that was happening? Right? Especially because Japan's the third biggest donor to the shithead moron Japan since July 2023. So are you trying to say nothing got out of these buildings till last year? Because that's what they're saying, till August 24th. And if you don't fight back, you're not going to have a future. Or any children, or any species. You're being exterminated. You need to gut up. This is Earth's last stand. Just hang on, I got to pour up a little drink. A little drink of water. Right here. Hang on. There we go. My water is made of thousands and thousands of tiers of pro-nuclear. We gathered it all up, and that's what I drink. And its on-site laboratory has analyzed the tritium concentrations in the first 10 water discharges. The only thing they're looking for is tritium. I think that they should be put in jail, charged with sedition, crimes against humanity, and because Japan has the death penalty, then they should be getting that should be metered out to them immediately. To suggest that nothing got out and that what got out is tritium is too much. That lie is not acceptable. You have a right to be on this planet. You have a right to have a future. You have an obligation. It's your obligation. You're obligated to fight for the species on this planet. They don't have a voice. You do. And the first 10 water discharges conducted from August of last year to October 2024. The International Atomic Energy Agency experts confirmed tritium levels are below the operating safety limits. It's simply absurd to suggest. And clearly the buildings don't even exist. And by using the word tritium, they're suggesting nothing got out, everything is filtered. And how come, like, just because they got all the media at their side, at their beck and call, and they're willing to pretend they're in a building that don't exist because the significance of what's happening is so egregious, it's absurd that this could happen. It's absurd. There's not a university on the planet deserves to exist because they allowed this to happen. They went out and told the same lie. That means your university shouldn't be allowed to exist. That every government agency and every anti-nuclear group, like Beyond Nuclear and Nuke Watch and the rest of them, have all sold us out. They're all part of the machine. They're doing it for themselves. They're selling out everybody for their own, for the nuclear industry. It's absurd. When is the world going to punch this nuclear industry back in the eye? Because it's exterminating all your loved ones, all your friends and your family friends and your pets and all the species. You have nothing to gain by not speaking up. You have nothing to gain. You have everything to gain by speaking up. The world needs you so desperately. And those who are aware of this are the most important people on the planet. You've been chosen because you have a conscience. It's not an accident that you found this information. Additionally, the task force engaged with Japan's Nuclear Regulatory Authority, which is obviously corrupt, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, clearly corrupt, the Ministry of Economy, Trade, Industry, to discuss safety updates and address technical matters, really, of something that doesn't exist anymore. Refusing to acknowledge the building is gone, to the point where the medias worldwide have pretended that they were in the building in order to convince the population. And in order for that to happen and for them to get away with that, every university had to participate in the lie. It's the biggest conspiracy in human history, period, bar nothing. It's the biggest breach of academics in human history, bar nothing. And this is, if you let them get away with this, there's no limit to what they're going to do next. There's nothing ever off the table forever. The world needs courage. And courage is cheap. All you got to do is speak out. Have a conversation. And anybody that's here regularly is going to win every one of those conversations. No one's going to beat you in this battle. No one can beat your narrative. Your narrative is rock solid. Additionally, the task force, which is the propaganda machine itself, the International Atomic Energy Agency is the architect behind this narrative, see? The ALPS, same as I'll bring it up after. The Siri system, the Korean system, the Arriva system. You can't filter radioactive water from a nuclear meltdown. You can't step over the pipes without getting a lethal dose. You can't step over the hoses without getting a lethal dose. You can't get within 1,000 feet of the tanks, if you put it there, without getting a lethal dose. You can't change the filter after your 20 minutes because that's thousands of sieverts. 3 sieverts is a lethal dose. You can't get back in the building where all the pipes and filters are allegedly too. I'll walk you right through it in a minute. They're treated. I mean, they picked up 30 million one-ton bags. The only reason they're getting away with it is because everybody's silent. Release process is part of Japan's broader efforts to manage the aftermath. Like, you picked up 30 million one-ton bags. When everybody stopped paying attention, you cut them up and start growing food on it of nuclear waste from radioactive fallout. And Japan is doing the stupidest thing imaginable. It's an absurd betrayal of their country, every person in their country. Everybody that participates in TEPCO's laws, and there's not that many of them when you put the actual bigger picture together, deserves the most harshest penalties from the justice system against them. And the corporations, so we want you to blame it on TEPCO or Tokyo rather, or TEPCO, rather than the nuclear industry itself. So that's why TEPCO is allowed to exist, profit. So you blame them. The Japanese government, International Atomic Energy Agency has maintained transparency. Really, transparency. Does that look like transparency, pretending they're on top of a building that doesn't exist in order to destroy the planet's future? They're only doing that because they're planning on destroying everybody's future. The outcome from this week's mission will be detailed in reports set for releases in 2025. The next propaganda machine is 2025, is it? Early reports on the Alps treated water releases are already available. Yeah, I actually got the documentation. I'm going to bring it up to you right now. With ongoing evaluation and commitment to international standards, which clearly is not happening, and that their standards are only based on tritium instead of the anthropogenic man-made radiation that escaped, which was the entire inventories of 36 reactor cores. The International Atomic Energy Agency Task Force continues to play a critical role in destroying humanity and the 8 million species. It's so egregious, I can't comprehend it. Every day I wish I was in a position where I can drag them into court and have them they need to be held accountable. We don't have another option. They have to be held accountable so that they don't do it again. So there's an incentive for the nuclear industry not to do this again. And just because they're in a position of power right now, that don't mean they're going to stay there. Once the world wakes up, they're going to lose all of that, and then justice will follow after that. So this planet needs to wake up. We got to wake up the planet. Operation Planet Wake Up. All right. Okay. So, blah, 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 blah. Hang on, bear with me. All that other fancy stuff. Who knows what they got done? I think we're here. So let's talk about the water filtration system. So we just give you the basic foundation. So in 2014, this story here, TEPCO unable to bring contaminated water issues under control. The Advanced Liquid Processing Systems, ALPS, has yet to function reliably, which meant it was hemorrhaging into the ocean for that whole time, right? So they only started, let me come back to that, let me get that, that's kind of important too. Wait for it. Being a scumbag is technically difficult, right? These people accelerate at it for some reason. This is 2013, and this is the ALP system under construction, 2013. These pictures were released in February. In August the 9th, almost the end of 2024, they were hoping to have the ALP system operational in the near future, which meant 2025. Now remember, it's 865,000 extra cancers. Remember, the reactors actually blew up. It's a fantasy to suggest that they contained anything. Particularly when you look at what happened. Like the original footage of the buildings, clearly, it's clear as daylight. Every nuclear academic and scientist on the planet, there was no reactor cores and no fuel pools. And reactor 3 in particular, stood out strong. But I mean, when they show you pictures of them pretending they're on a building that don't exist, you're in real trouble. Trouble, you're real trouble. If I talk like a Japanese, people will understand me better. So the ELP system didn't operate until late 2015, but you couldn't turn it on because you could never get back in the building again. This was the end of 2014. The REVA system, which is the exact same as the ELP system, was abandoned in 2014. And for the last 3 years, the system was unused and kept out of operation. Because what they found out was they actually turned it on and then they couldn't get near the building again. There was going to build a groundwater bypass operation. So the water coming down the mountainside was going to be redirected around the site. There were basically a couple of ways they were going to do it. One was to pump it around the site. But these, the bypass operation doesn't have a bottom or a top. If it has a if you put a bottom into it and sides on it, now you're going to have liquefaction. The minute that the groundwater bypass operations failing to reduce the tons of water, there's a lot more than tons, from entering the Crippled, and calling it a Crippled when the buildings are completely destroyed is absurd. TEPCO failed to deliver on the promise to install a fence to restrict contamination from leaking. Like 30 million one-ton bags is not a leak. That building to your left is not a leak. At the time, TEPCO asked the government not to announce, because how come TEPCO has this kind of a... This is a corporation. Under typical charters, the company should have been liquidated immediately, and its assets should have been sold off to pay restitution and for reparation too, right? Under normal charters, that's what would happen, because they hijacked the charter constitutionally with constitutional lawyers in the 1940s, and Justice Hugo Black from the United States of America Supreme Court had wrote a dissenting opinion on it. One of his statements was quite clear, was that it was absurd that a corporation was given human rights and would use those rights to take away the liberty and freedoms of the sovereign people, which is you. And this is what they do, right? They have certain human rights, and they have the monetary amounts behind them to leverage that constitutionally too. And you don't even know the Constitution is being changed with constitutional lawyers. They're never challenged. And Justice Hugo Black had warned you about that in the 1940s with an eloquent dissent. Was concerned that the $1 billion construction cost would increase in debt. But, I mean, they're never going to stop burning money. And they're not even burning... They don't have the money. They're not going to... The money is coming from the taxpayers, not TEPCO. TEPCO's ice wall. TEPCO didn't pay for no ice wall. It's not going to meet expectations. Of course it's not. They said there was 260,000 people worked on the wall. 260,000. The money was taxpayers' money because it was considered an experiment. And so if everybody took home $1,100, there was no money to build a wall. Why would you suggest there was 260,000 people at that site working on a wall alone, and there was another 7,000 people that were working underwater? Because the harm from this stuff is so egregious worldwide. And they're growing food in nuclear wasteland and shipping that worldwide. And we counted the tanks, there's only 750. TEPCO plans to dump water stored at the Fukushima 2024 or 2013. And the plant is already released. Now, it had no filtration, no Arivas, no Siri, no Kurion, no ELP systems. And even in 2015, when they allegedly had the ELP system finally working, so where did it all go? The tanks were all full in 2013, according to BBC. And the problem is we try to do a show talking about nuclear, and we get these stories, and then we're kind of stuck in purgatory. Because you can't tell the story without all these different facets, because all these different facets is the reason that we're in trouble in the first place, because people are unaware of them. So by the time I get through all these facets of that makes up this story, instead of doing 10 stories, you're only 2 stories down the road. But I can't just skip all the important facets, right? Because that's why we're in trouble in the first place. We're doing pretty good, though. So, in 2013, there is no water filtration system. The tanks were all full in 2013. So where did all the water go? The reactors need 1 million gallons a minute each. So that reactor alone needs 4,500 tons of water a minute before it runs away. And that's equal to 4,500 one-ton pickup trucks. Look up a one-ton pickup truck if you're not familiar with it. And all it can carry is 1 ton of water, 1,000 liters, 2,200 pounds of water every minute. So there's 4,500 one-ton pickup trucks every minute passing you to dump their water into the reactor. Can that be done? No. So imagine how much energy a nuclear disease factory needs just to operate. Okay. All right. Robot gets to work removing nuclear debris. Now, the robot that you're talking about removed, it took him 4 years, $48 million, and it removed the equivalent of a grain of rice of radioactivity from the reactor. It took them 4 years and $48 million because Britain was involved. The nuclear industry from Britain was involved. And they can't do anything. They can't do anything, right, without exorbitant expenses. And so they spent $48 million. It took them 4 years to take a grain of rice-sized debris out of the reactors. Now, they didn't have to go through all that trouble because the buildings actually blew up. They could have got their little grain anytime they wanted it, right away. And in fact, they did, right? They can still get it today anywhere. They don't need a robot. And now the robot, all it does is it goes like this. That's it. $48 million later. There are some hard cases. They can't open their shit face without lying. Man. I got pictures. Hang on. Here's the robot and $48 million. That's it. It's about the biggest boat of my hands. And that's what it does. It goes, and then you take out the little piece. Thank you. $48 million. And they show you these pictures here. Now, nobody got back into the control rooms. This is Reactor 4 control room. Nobody got back in there for 7 years. And that was a couple of YouTube bloggers that didn't know their head from their earth. And nobody's ever went in there after. It's a nuclear wasteland. Though nobody died at the time, one worker died of lung cancer 4 years later. And so it's just, they tell so many lies. Now, what would be great, like, bear with me. I get insulted every time I hear a lie, and so I'm insulted. And so will you if you try to go after this narrative. Every paragraph, you're going to have multiple lies in every single paragraph. Nobody died, but yet there was mass die-off. There was 865,000 cancers in the first year. Extreme increase in mortality caused by cardiac disease. The death rates might give the creeps to some people. But even today, the media's out there telling you, I mean, in just a single month, there was an extra 12,700 people dying of heart attacks. Nobody died at the time. And so the people that write these stories, this is just meant to reinforce the lie, and it comes from every direction. It's coordinated by the International Atomic Energy Agency. Because being evil is just, it's part of their job description, right? International Atomic Energy Agency pretend they're at the top of a building that don't exist, and they're in a paper suit, but they've only been there 3 times since last year. Right, and these are just printed IAEA pieces of paper, and then it's taped on the paper suits. Like when you see pictures like this where nobody works at reactor 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I can guarantee you nobody works there in a paper suit. There's not a nuclear scientist, nuclear corporation on the planet where the employees with any education or knowledge whatsoever is going to go near Medusas with a paper suit on. And so the architect is the International Atomic Energy Agency. They're the ones that are telling the lie. This is 2013. This is all media, allegedly on top of Reactor 4. Right? Like that picture and these videos came out at the same time, 2013. And I made this picture to your right, this picture here, rather, that year. I was like, I got him now, man. I got him now. Get ready to wake up, planet Earth. And because we're asking a real question, and every time we ask this real question, especially when it comes to food in the nuclear wasteland, I'll get censored. I'll get censored. Like, what have I got? 15 people on my video, really. I've been doing it for a decade. 308 counts per minute. Holy shit. On my Geiger counter that time. Like 270 is madness. 185 is an evacuation zone for a nuclear plant. So the numbers on my Geiger counter are just horrific. This is my studio. And it's only going to find gamma, and it's not going to be very good at that. It's not going to find alphas and neutrons and betas and X-rays. And you can't keep up with the lies. No deaths from Fukushima. We're supposed to do this one like 6 days ago or something, 7 days ago. Still haven't got that story done. We'll get her done, though. I can tell you that much. I can't tell you when, though. And so I had to go out and change the blinker. Yesterday I had to put a vent in the roof. I picked up a really nice roof vent, for the shed where the bikes are to and the equipment is to. Because we insulated everything a few weeks, 3-4 weeks ago. And I like a week ago I picked up the last of the insulation. I still haven't got it installed. But I got that place sealed, so now I haven't got any vents in, so I'm going to run into trouble if I don't put the vents in. So now I got one vent. I got to get another one yet. But anyway, today I had changed the blinker on my truck on the Hummer, and it takes about an hour and a half. You got to take the tire off, you take all the cowling off. You don't want to crack anything, break anything, especially when it's minus temperatures, or you got to be a little bit extra careful. And I usually got spare light bulbs, so I did. And finally get some change there, puts everything back together, pulls the tire out from underneath the truck, because I always put the tire on the truck to make sure it doesn't land on me or something, right? And then I realize I'm looking at a rotten tire. And like, those tires are only 4 years old. And I got tire rotten off. All four tires, the sides of them are cracked. I don't know why I didn't notice it. And in between lots of tread left on it, but they're cracked, right? And so I'm not going to be able to keep those tires. I'm not going to be able to use the trailer with those tires. And so James Lucid donated almost $500 on Sunday. This is amazing. And it's an unbelievable timing, because that's going to go towards the tires. I'm just trying to get that back in the frame here. There we go. It's just heartbreaking anyway. It's whatever I got left in my pension this week. It's going into my tires. I just got to find tires, because those tires were $1,400 or something. And I was really careful with those tires, changing and rotating and everything else. Lots of thread left on it, but they rotted out on me. I don't know why. I bought them out in BC, right, 4 years ago or something. And they probably would have been covered under warranty if I was out there, but... So now I got to go through that ordeal, because otherwise you can't move the trailer with something on it. Not only that, it's not safe, right? You got cracking on the side, cracking. And so thank goodness that James was in a position to do that, because that's going to make a big difference. It's going to make a huge difference, actually. It is what it is. We got to keep the operation. Like, we keep running into these roadblocks all the time, right? And we just do the best we can to get through them. We don't win every battle, right? And so it's madness. It's depressing for me anyway, because it's a nightmare now to do this. But just keep trying to, every obstacle, you just work your way through it as best you can. Eventually you get through it, and hopefully there's a brighter light on the other side of all this. Next 2025 is what I mean by that, right? Like, ideally what I was going to do was save up some money, and just buy a cheap skidoo that I can take out on the back roads, because the quad will get stuck, right, in the snow. And I'm not capable of walking a long distance. I'm not very healthy. So I got to have something that will get me back. And I can't do the research without the equipment, right? So the nuclear industry got me censored so much. You've seen what's going on there. I got 15 concurrent viewers on a show I've been doing for over a decade on the most important subject in human history. And so it's really tough, right? But each day I'm reminded that this is an extinction event. And then you got to have integrity to keep focused for this long. And we sacrifice everything for this, to tell this story every day. And so does many other people, unfortunately, right? To help. Because the importance of this is absurd. And we are not going to lose. We are going to win this battle of good versus evil. And what they're doing, pretending they're in a building that doesn't exist, is the epitome of evil. it's so hideous that anybody would do that, let alone all of them. And we're up against something that humanity, an evil we've never seen before. And because this entity, you can't smell the radiation, you can't feel the radiation, you can't see the radiation, you can't hear the radiation, you can't smell it or touch it or taste it, you can't pick it up, you can't perceive it. And it's brutal, it attacks everything with replicating cells. And so I know James has put out 2 new songs, and I just absolutely adore his Fukutumium Girls official video. I just absolutely adore that. That's one we're going to play tonight. But he got another one out too. And he's learning to render, I guess is what's going on, the videos now, right? Which takes up an enormous amount of horsepower on the computers, I bet. And there's a lot of trial and error goes with it. So this was his first full attempt, I believe. And there was some connotations, I think, of the Radium Girls. That's an incredible horror story from the nuclear industry, by the way. What they done to children. And since then, they never stopped doing it. And then he has another one, which is a different genre, Nuclear Golden Boy. And he's got over 180, almost 190 anti-nuclear songs now, and all kinds of different genres. And Meltdown Queen, this one right here, is an amazing. That's not absolutely amazing. He's got so many amazing songs now, it's unbelievable. His Jamaica song, I really dig that song too. But all of them are great because the way he's doing it, right? And they all tell a story. We're going to play this one, Fukutomian Girls. And we'll see everybody tomorrow night. You have a great night, a great day tomorrow. And just let me start that again. You have a great day tonight and tomorrow. And we need support, folks. If you can donate, the links are in the bottom of the description. I'm not going away, and I'm not giving up, but I can't do this on my own. I just can't do it. And so, for goodness sakes, if you're able to help anything at all each month, you'd be surprised if you had enough people doing it, what we can do. Like, I wouldn't hesitate whenever there's a nuclear protest to send 100 placard signs that looks like this to the protest, right? Because that'll get the word going immediately, won't it? I would love to do stuff like that, and we're not in a position to do it. But that's the kind of stuff we need to do, see? We also need to drag these lawyers into court and litigate them. Okay, anyway, we'll see everybody on the next show. You have a great night. Sorry I didn't get a show on last night. I just burnt out. Nothing I can do about it. This is a great song. And James got 1.79 thousand subscribers. Holy shit. Like 170 subscribers since the last show. That's crazy. Oh my God. I love it. We'll see everybody tomorrow night. Have a great night, everybody. Take care.
They promised you the world in a bright, safe light. Sold you beauty in a bottle, just like radium's delight. Now it's photonium in the air, in every product, every bite. But darling, can't you see? It's the gamma shine at night. Photonium girls, they shimmer, they dazzle, but beneath the surface it's a dangerous razzle. Once it was radium, now it's this silent mist. We've come full circle, but history's twist. They say it's safe, they say it's fine. Put it in your cream or in your wine. But underneath the allure, a deadly design. Oh, Photonium girls, can't you read the sign? In the days of old they wore radium with pride, but little did they know it lingered inside. Now it's in your makeup, in the food you buy. Fucktonium, my dear, a silent, bitter lie. Fucktonium girls, they shimmer, they dazzle, but beneath the surface it's a dangerous razzle. Once it was radium, now it's this silent mist. We've come full circle, but history's twist. In every powder puff, in every sweet sip, there's a trace of what they hide in every little drip. It's in the ocean's waves, in the morning's grip. Fucktonium, my love, a kiss on the lips. Fucktonium girls, you dance in the night, but beware, my dear, of that gamma shine so bright. It's not the moon, it's not the star's soft light, it's the ghost of a meltdown creeping into sight. In the silence of the fallout where shadows play, you'll find the traces of yesterday's decay. No warning signs, the red flags unfurled, just whispers of the end creeping into the world. They left it in the water, in the soil, in the air, a legacy of poison hidden everywhere. Fucktonium girls, you'll twirl and sway, but in the end, who wash the sins away?